This episode of the Brown Park Podcast is presented by Grow Clinics. If you're ready to take control of your hair health and your confidence, visit growclinics.com.au. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm all right. A bit rushed tonight because we're actually recording this one of an evening after dinner, and I've been making dinner, and then, got to about 7:15. I went, oh, shit, we've got a podcast, and you've sent me a message going, are you there? Are you jumping on? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll be there in a second.
Because I'm not riding solo on any one of these, just so you know.
Today's guest is phenomenal. He is a power lifter, but has also been a wheelchair racer.
He was born with Spina Bifida, and we're going to talk about his whole journey now.
The Brown Park Podcast.
Question.
Yes.
All right, so my question is, I've been back into the gym of late, and in this episode we're going into, we talk about how much this person can bench press.
Yep.
I can bench press like 100 kilos now.
Do you even lift, bro? Do you even lift?
So my question to you is, what do you reckon you can bench?
What? Okay, so what do you bench now?
I'm benching like 100 now.
100 kilos?
Yeah. So what are you benching, apart from burgers? What do you... Okay, way too low.
Oh, fuck you.
You were exercising a little while ago. What do you reckon?
I was exercising, and then my trainer left and went overseas. I'm like, I haven't gotten back into it, and I've kind of left it by the wayside, and I really should. And when he left, I was on a whopping, brace yourself,
I'm ready for it.
35 kilos.
That's not bad, mate. That's good. That's good.
Per side.
Oh, yeah, that's good. What, but 35 kilo dumbbells?
No, like the bench press, like the I don't know what they're called, the big weight things.
Oh, my God. Okay, that's all I need to know. That's fine. That's fine.
It's always kind of weird saying hello to the guest once you've already said hello to them once we start recording. So it's kind of like hello again. And do we just go over what we were just saying, how we're all sort of winging it tonight?
Flying by the seat of our pants, something new.
It's the best way to go, I reckon.
Dion was just reading something out to me just before you jumped on, Adam, about winging it, because we've both just raced through dinner, because we're recording this at night, and we both just raced through dinner I've actually got Dion's kid here.
Yes, you do.
And Dion just read, what was it that you were saying just before, the note that you got from somebody once?
Well, I did it. I'm in sales, and I did a negotiation course once, and I had how do you put it? I didn't usually prepare going into negotiations, and the negotiation coordinator at the time said, Dion, you're relying too much on your experience, and you just wing it because you just know you're going to get through it, and it's going to trip you up one day. So let's just hope today isn't the day.
I like that.
Look, Adam Sheppard, thank you for joining us on the show. You are an inspiration, to say the least. Let's go right back to the start of where it all began. You were born with Spina Bifida, right?
Yes. So I was born with a disability called Spina Bifida, which if you've ever... had kids, or you'll see an ad on TV for pregnancy multivitamins, that sort of thing. And Spina Bifida always rates and mentioned. It's always like, just stop birth defects like Spina Bifida. So so I was born with Spina Bifida, which means that it was from birth. So I've never been able to walk. I've been a wheelchair user my entire life.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm 42, and it's all I've ever known.
Can I ask, did your mum take the vitamins that are suggested now when she was pregnant with you?
I actually never ask that question. Like, we're talking very early 80s, like I'm 82, baby.
Yeah,
never asked that question. But, back then there wasn't the tests and all that there is now I kind of came out. I'm like, hey, here I am, take me as I am,
So they had no idea that you had it when you were born?
No, exactly right. Yeah, these days they have, the tests, the blood tests and all that sort of stuff. But I was a surprise.
Yeah, let's be honest, when you were... When it was our age, like I'm a bit older than you and I'm a little bit older than Dion, my mother had an ashtray next to her bed in hospital, and after giving birth lit up and had a durry. So things have changed a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. With medical technology. And like I said, in the early 80s when I was born, I tell a funny story of like my first ever wheelchair that I got. Like I said, I've never been able to walk. The very first wheelchair I ever got, I could still fit into when I was 14 years old. That's how
Really?
That's how big it was. Like back in the day, they just didn't know how to make things like wheelchairs and because they were all steel back then too. Aluminium and stuff didn't come
And
until
heavy,
heaps later.
yeah.
But and heavy as all get out. But you see these days, you see these little 1-2-year-old kids pushing around in wheelchairs that are like meant to be in a Barbie doll set or something, but back in the 80s that never happened. So technology's come a long way.
So you obviously, like you said, you were almost born into a wheelchair. How does that affect your life growing up? Everybody sort of takes their first steps and things like that. Were you trained to use the wheelchair from a very young age?
I got my first wheelchair when I was about 4. Prior to that, I essentially had an oversized skateboard. It was a piece of plywood, 3/4-inch plywood with 4 caster wheels on it, and that was my mode of transport. Aside from mum and dad picking me up to carry me around, if need be, around the house it was this just a plank of wood with 4 caster wheels on it.
Well, maybe a dumb question, maybe not. King of dumb questions over here. Have your legs ever worked? Does spina bifida stop your legs working from the get-go, or you had a limited amount of movement? What's the go with it?
So for me, I've never been able to use my legs. My legs have never worked at all. I've never been able to weight bear, never been able to stand, walk, any of that. There are spina bifida is one of those things that there's a massive range in how it affects people. I always say to people, you could be walking down the street and somebody walk past you that's got spina bifida and you'd never ever know about it because it's really, really minimal. And then you've got me who has completely no use of my legs. I actually have no legs now. That's a different story altogether, but I opted to have my legs amputated 2 years ago. It's massive range in variation with spina bifida. I often find people that can walk with spina bifida, a lot of them walk really awkwardly, and over a period of time that becomes quite degenerative on your for them on your joints, your knees, your hips, all that sort of thing. So so you often see people as they get older opting to use a wheelchair more. That have been able to walk.
So what made you get to the decision at 2 years ago? So that would have made you 40 to then go, okay, well now I'm done. I want to move on and do something different.
Were they like paperweights to you at that point? Were you just like, just get rid of them because they're getting in the way? Or?
Pretty much. So situation was that I over probably 10 or 15 years, I've had loads and loads of issues with my feet. I had really poor circulation because I'm up out of bed at 5:36 in the morning. I'm sitting in my chair until probably 10:30, 11 at night most days. So my feet are always down. Really poor circulation, and because I'd never walked on my feet, my skin integrity was really, really poor. So I'd end up with I don't know if pressure sores, or they used to call them bed sores, but I used to have a lot of issues like that. And as I got older, I came to this realization that one day it was going to kill me. Without word of a lie, infections are really, really big issue for people with spina bifida.
Especially in your legs, though, because your legs are, you need the circulations, particularly in your thighs, don't you? I think.
100%, yeah. So I'd come to this conclusion that, and I have an 8-year-old. I have a son now too. So there was him to think about, and I was probably ending up in hospital, 4 or 5 times a year with problems with my feet. So it wasn't just a once every couple of years situation. So I'd come to the conclusion that I was either going to have to keep trucking along the way I am, and because the thing is, as you get older, these things are harder and harder to heal as well. And for me, I come out of hospital, and every time it's a minimum 6 to 12 month process to get everything back the way it should be. So anyway, I went to hospital with a really bad leg infection one day. My doctor came in and he goes, well, been here before, you know this drill. He said, you'll be here for a week on IV antibiotics. Then there's wound care, which, like I said, is, you know, upwards of 6 to 12 months for me. And I said to him, you know what? I'm done. Get rid of them. He kind of just looked at me and I said, you know what? They're causing me nothing but issues. They don't particularly, they're not that aesthetically pleasing. I'm done with them. All they're doing is causing me problems. And the only question I had to him was, to the surgeon was, am I getting rid of one problem to create more problems? And he said, no, I don't think you are. He said, I think for you, this is the right thing. And every person with spina bifida has got problems with their legs. I would never go out and say, you need to do this. But, you know, for me, in my situation, you know, with a really active 8-year-old and me being pretty active myself, it was definitely the right decision for me.
And was there any complications after having the legs amputated, or you've been all good since then?
No, it was so they ended up doing, I went into theatre and I said to the doctor, I'm like, I want you to do both at once. I don't want to have to come back. And he's like, like every true good surgeon, he's like, oh, we'll see how we go. I'm like, yeah, okay. And anyway, I remember this so vividly. I woke up in recovery after the first surgery. I looked down and I saw I still had one leg, and I was like, shit, what's going on? And
you motherfucker.
Yeah, pretty much. And the doctor's like, he's like, oh, your blood pressure crapped out. And he's like, so we had to pull up stumps, did you? And sorry, that was terrible.
I'm glad you can
That was you.
It wasn't us. It wasn't us.
Yeah. You can put in a drum thing in that later. And he's like, we had to stop and you know, we'll have to go back and do the other leg. So the bad leg that had the infection, that went first. I had a few days. I had the surgery, about 3 or 4 days in hospital. They kicked me out for the weekend. I went home, spent the weekend with my son and my wife, and then I went back in on the next Monday, and we went again, had the second leg done, and I spent that week in hospital. Then I was back at work on the Monday.
That's a massive amount of trauma for the body to go through.
Yeah, it was. It was like I took it pretty easy, and you know, they knew how active I was, so they didn't kick me out of hospital till they were ready. Like I had lots of sessions with while I was in hospital with the hospital physio, and just making sure, you know, everything was good to go. I've done the hospital thing so many times.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they were probably a little bit confident in the fact that if I thought something wasn't completely right, I'd probably take myself straight back anyway. So yeah.
This is the Brown Park Podcast.
Real fellas.
Hey team, let's talk hair for a second. If you're starting to notice a little less hair up top, don't stress, you're not alone. There is something you can do about it. Grow Clinics are the absolute experts when it comes to hair restoration. There's no gimmicks, no miracle sprays, just real medical solutions that work. They're all about natural results, tailored plans, and getting your confidence back without the dodgy hairlines or the old school stigma. Thousands of guys are seeing serious regrowth with Grow, and the best part, you can book a free consultation to see what's possible for you. So if your hair's thinning, don't wait. Head to growclinics.com.au, that's groclinics.com.au, and tell them Brown Park sent you.
This is the Brown Park Podcast.
But it's absolutely necessary.
Okay, so can we rewind? What was it like growing up back in the early 80s or in the 80s as a kid in a wheelchair? What was it like for you?
It was interesting. Like I really lucky. I had an awesome group of friends. Like I got a little bit of the bullying stuff, but not a huge amount. Like I always took that as, you know, I had a pretty I guess, forward outlook on the bullying stuff from an early on. Like it was, I just took that as, you know, people didn't understand me and didn't want to understand, so that's how they dealt with it, sort of thing. And that was kind of just how I saw it at the time. But school was good. I had a great bunch of friends, and you know, I wasn't treated any differently. You know, we just did stuff that normal kids do. You know, I went skating with my mates, and I just had a skateboard I sat on and crossed my legs, and wore some gloves, and just stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
So it was, and we went to pools and did all the stuff that normal kids do. Schooling was interesting, you know. I was really fortunate that school I went to was really accessible as well. So a lot of schools back then weren't, but I was really lucky that this one was. So yeah, made life pretty easy.
And then where did the love of the sport come in? Because, I mean, you're sitting there and you're a unit. You're a lot fitter than what either of us are. We are not very fit. But, yeah, where did the love of sport come into it?
I got really fortunate. Like I said, really surrounded by great people, my parents in particular, and my sister. I was brought up with basically nothing. There's nothing that you can't do. Obviously, I can't walk, but you give everything a go, give it a crack, and see how you go.
Yeah.
So my parents, I was thrown into a swimming pool really, really early on, and so swimming was my thing for a really long time. Then I was a wheelchair racer for a really long time, and got quite competitive with that. So just it was started out swimming, but I always wanted to be active, like, whether it be swimming or, on the track as a wheelchair racer. I've just always wanted to be moving and doing something. So, yeah. And I was always really, really encouraged to do that too.
And do you think that helped? I mean, because what we focus on a lot is mental health. Do you think the sport gave you a purpose and kept you in check in that space?
100%, 100%. I was not, what you would call academic at all. So, as much as I tried at school, or most of my focus, most of my energy went into, into sport. And I think, growing up with a disability, there's so much health stuff that goes on. So whatever I needed to do to make sure that, the things I could control were being kept under control, and sport was a big part of that. That helped me, keep, my weight under control, and it helped me keep, to a fairly major degree, helped me keep my health under control as well.
So you became a wheelchair racer?
Yeah, so I'd been swimming, and I'd done swimming for a long time, and then a mate of mine who was a wheelchair racer, he had an old racing chair that he was looking to get rid of, and he's like, "Do you want to jump in it and give it a go?" And we're out one night, and I just jumped in it to give it a go, and took it for a spin, and it was honestly the most fun it was so much fun. It was ridiculous. So that's what really started the love of wheelchair racing. And I started doing half marathons and a lot of track stuff. So I was a 100, 200, 400 metre on the track, and 10K and half marathon on the road. So bit of distance there too.
Was Olympics ever on the cards for you? Did you get that good or not?
I was pushing for the Paralympics. That was really... for a time was my aim, but to be honest, once I pushed and pushed, and I got to a certain point where I'd had enough, to be honest. I'd got tired of the pushing, and I was an 18-year-old kid that was training twice a day, 6 days a week, while my mates were going out, mingling with members of the opposite sex and having a good time. And I was showing up I was on the track at 6 a.m. every morning, and then 4:30, 5 o'clock every afternoon. It was sort of so I just decided that it was time. But the Paralympics for me at one point in time was definitely an aim. Yeah.
So what kind of training do you have to do to become a wheelchair racer? Like, it would all come down to here, but it would also be like your shoulders and your muscles and things, but also the kind of chair that you would have.
Yeah, so racing wheelchair is vastly different to a normal wheelchair. It's 3 wheels. The wheels on the back are very slanted for stability. You got a little wheel on the front, big wheel at the 2 big wheels at the back. And you might have seen them on TV. A lot of people have seen them on TV. But they're vastly different to normal. So you've got that, and so there's the steering you can make so it literally turns to the camber of a track or to the bend of a track. On the road you don't use that so much, but it's and they're uber expensive. Like, minimum for a racing wheelchair is about $10,000. So
Jesus.
it's not a cheap sport. You're better off going and buying a pair of goggles, a swim cap, and some DTs, I reckon.
Well, way cheaper.
But then, how do you, when you, and I'm sorry if I'm asking stupid questions, but I'm curious about how do you then become?
No, not at all.
How do you then become faster? And I mean, obviously with the training and things like that. But are there certain techniques that you can use on the chair to help? You know, like the swimmers at one point, they had those like carbon fiber bodysuits or something that was supposed to glide them through the water, and everybody went, "Oh, is that really?"
Well, that gave them a level of buoyancy, so they pulled the pin on that. But yeah,
I got lucky. Back when I raced, it was aluminium. All the chairs were pretty much aluminium. You could get carbon fiber wheels, but the chairs themselves weren't being made. So it was a pretty level playing field as such. There were different brands for chairs and different companies making it, but the chairs themselves were fairly similar in make. These days, you've got whole chairs that are made out of carbon fiber, and they're super light. But as far as training, I was in the gym 5 mornings a week. I was also on the track or on the road. I sort of mixed my sessions up between longer distance on the road for cardiovascular fitness and then the shorter stuff for the sprints. And so that was a lot of starts practice and bends and breaking up a race. But I got really lucky because my coach at the time, Claire, was she worked for Griffith University, and she works in sports science there. So I was really fortunate that she had sort of the latest info and training techniques and all that sort of stuff. And whenever she'd have students that were wanting to do testing and stuff, I was able to be their guinea pig, which worked really well for me as well.
So you said you gave up the wheelchair racing. At what age did you give that up?
I think I gave up. I decided to give up wheelchair racing. I think it would have been about 2001. I think so. I was somewhere around 19, I think. Yeah.
And then what did you move into?
Yes.
Because I know as a 40-year-old, you're into powerlifting and powerlifting and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But what did you then? Did you move into another realm of sport, or did you just go and
benders with your mates?
I literally did not want to look at a gym. I didn't want to look at a track. I didn't want to look at a basketball court. I didn't even look at a swimming pool, particularly a black liner swimming pool. I had no interest.
Yeah.
So subsequently, but the problem was my appetite was still the same. So I was eating as much as I was when I was training 6 days a week, but just not doing the exercise to work it off. Mm-hmm. So I put on a lot of weight. But eventually, I've got this thing. I don't think the bug ever kind of leaves you. And so I started to think about, how could I get back into, some kind of sport. Obviously thinking as I'm getting older, it's good for me to, keep moving and keep the body, fairly fit and healthy as well. So I started playing a bit of social basketball as well, which was great fun. And so I probably went 5 or 6 years and just did nothing. Mm-hmm. And I think it was kind of looked in the mirror one day and went, man, I really need to do something. So started playing a bit of wheelchair basketball. But I also, with that, it was interesting because I always had the, I'd go to the gym and I'd, go through the program and just do, what I was told. But I was like, why am I doing these things? So what's, cause and effect? What's the reason behind me doing these certain exercises? And aside from, just getting stronger and, healthier and whatever. So I actually decided to go through and do Cert 3 and 4 in fitness. So I did that, and I did some PTing work for a little while as well. So kind of kept me in the game a little bit in there.
But then you went on to be a power lifter.
Yeah, so I the powerlifting came about a little under 2 years ago. I got suckered into doing a CrossFit competition, and just for shits and giggles, and I did really enjoy it. Like it was great, but there was one of the workouts was bench press, and I got on this, and I'm like, I really like this. This is awesome. This is cool. And I thought, maybe there's some exercise and there's some work in the old dog yet. So he says it, 42 years old.
Yeah.
So I messaged a mate of mine, Lee, who is a 3 times Commonwealth Games para powerlifter, lives on the Gold Coast, and I just said, "You interested in training me by any chance, coaching me?" And he thought about it for a while, and he said, "Yeah, absolutely, let's do it." So got into it that way, and I've been benching ever since. So
What do you bench?
it's great fun. Really enjoy it.
How much can you bench?
At the moment, I'm on 115 kilos officially.
Yeah. No.
But I reckon there's a couple extra kilos in the tank. I reckon I'd probably do. Yeah, I'm probably going to put myself to the test now, but I reckon somewhere around 117. I reckon is where I finish at the moment.
That's fucking heavy. Good shit.
Is that good? Because I don't know.
Yeah. That's heavy. Well, I mean, I think I saw something a little while back that only, I don't know, something like 1% of people on the earth can bench 100 kilos, and then I don't know, but it got down to only like 0.07% can actually do that. So, fuck, mate, that's good.
It's. I mean, inherently as a wheelchair user, you end up with a certain amount of strength because, for me anyway, I'm cutting my entire body weight around lifting myself in and out of a car and in and out of a pool or whatever I was doing. You're lifting your entire body weight umpteen amount of times, but with the powerlifting, it's there's a lot of technique to it, a lot of mindset stuff, a lot of stuff that people wouldn't realize goes into it. But it's really, really cool. I'm really enjoying it.
This is the Brown Park Podcast. Now, a word from our sponsors.
Are you one of the many Australians experiencing hair loss? Do you find yourself avoiding the mirror or constantly trying new products that just don't work? Well, there's a solution that's backed by science and delivers real results, and it's Grow Clinics. Grow Clinics is a leading hair transplant clinic with locations across Australia and New Zealand. They perform over 150 hair transplants every single month, and their procedures are led by experienced doctors who are experts in the field of hair restoration. But Grow Clinics isn't just about hair transplants. They offer a wide range of services to combat all stages of hair loss. Whether you're looking for prescription hair care you can use at home or you're interested in specialised non-invasive treatments in clinic, Grow Clinics has you covered. With clinics in Brisbane, Gold Coast, Sydney, Melbourne, Perth and Auckland, New Zealand, there's a Grow Clinic near you, and the best part? They're offering a free consultation for our listeners of the Brown Park Podcast. Just mention our show when you call in to book and you'll be on your way to a fuller, healthier head of hair. So don't wait any longer. Take control of your hair loss journey with Grow Clinics.
This is the Brown Park Podcast with Christo and Dion. Now back to the show.
I just want to touch on being in a wheelchair now and you're out and about. Do you mind when people come up to you and ask you how you ended up with no legs, or does that put you off? Where does that sit for you?
Can I just tell you, it's actually one of my favourite conversations to have with people. And, there's going to be people watching this that, with disabilities that are like, I don't want people coming up to me. But I kind of see my life in a way as a little bit of an education for people as well. Somebody might see me getting a wheelchair in and out of my car. I drive, my all-time favorite thing is when I'm in a shopping center, like just doing normal everyday things like doing my grocery shopping or whatever, and a kid will come up to me and go, well, hey, why have you got no legs, or why are you in a wheelchair? And I can have a really good conversation at their level about what's going on. And I'd so much more prefer that than in them going to getting to our age, never coming across a person with a disability in their entire life, and just having assumptions and because as obviously as adults we start to make assumptions and we come up with assumptions and stuff. So if you're arming kids with that information from an early age, I think it's a really, really positive thing.
I mean, you've got to love the curiosity of a kid. Jesus, spit it out. Because as an adult, you're a lot more apprehensive to go and approach someone and ask them, hey, yo, what happened?
I love it from all aspects. You know, it doesn't matter if it's a old man or if it's it's a 4-year-old kid. You know, the 4-year-old kids or the young kids are great because they just don't have a filter. You know, there's no filter there. Just whatever they're thinking comes straight out, and I kind of love that. It's interesting because I'll be at Coles or Woolies or something, and you'll hear from one end of the aisle, hey mum, look at that man in the wheelchair, and you'll see mum just turn white as a ghost, and hoping that the world opens up and swallows her, sort of thing. And I'm like, and that's not what I mean. Personally, for me, that's not what I want. I want, it's great to have those conversations, and I find it, in a way, I find it really fulfilling to have those conversations. Sometimes, my 8-year-old's with me, and he doesn't get it. He just doesn't get it because I'm dad, and it's the way it's always been for him. But sometimes I've got to go. You know what? There are people that are dad's age, and mum's age, or who've never spoken to a person in a wheelchair, never spoken to a person with a disability. So they're curious and they want to know. So,
yeah, that's good.
Now you're also a mindset coach.
Yeah, so I'm co-owner of a business called Invincible with my business partner Tash, and so we run programs on mindset, resilience training, passion and purpose, all that sort of thing. Between the two of us, there's a fair bit of life experience there, and a lot of what we do is sort of just talk about our situations and how we've handled them, and the mindsets that we've had in tackling certain situations. And sometimes we're good, and we can find a way for somebody else to take maybe even part of what we've said and apply it to their own lives and their own situations. That in the end, that's the aim, because all we're really doing is we talk about the techniques that we've used in me losing both my legs, and life trying to kill me on a couple of occasions, and growing up with a disability. It's just going with those things and talking about those.
Yeah. Well, I mean, then what a piece of advice. I mean, let's say there's a parent listening to this podcast that has a child with a disability, spina bifida, or anything. What's a piece of advice you'd give to that parent to give to their children? Because I mean, I'm sure that your parents, it was something new for them at the time too. So. Advice for parents talking to their children with a disability.
My mantra is say yes to more. Say yes to more opportunities. So to a parent, I would say, obviously, look, obviously you don't want anything to happen to your child. Your child, and obviously if they've got a disability, they've probably gone through their fair share of shit already. But don't mollycoddle them to the point where you're stifling them to be able to get out and experience life. Push them to do things, and say yes. That the opportunities are there. You just got to grab them. And for me, that was the biggest thing, is finding the opportunities and just grabbing them with both hands. And you're not going to like every opportunity that comes your way, every outcome of an opportunity that comes your way. But that's life. And I think I find so much parents with disabilities that sort of cotton wool their kids and stuff, and particularly for disabilities like spina bifida, where there's a life of surgeries and health issues and all that sort of stuff. If you're not letting them experience the other stuff, that's all they're seeing. That's all they're seeing out of life, if that makes sense. And it's a real resilience builder. And let's face it, I mean, without being too blunt, sometimes disability is a shit show, and you've got to have resilience to push through that.
And how did your parents sound? I mean, did your parents ever talk to you about it? I mean, how did they handle having a child with special needs?
Really well. Like I was saying earlier, mum and dad were they were like, you go out, you do, exactly like everyone else. Just don't get yourself killed in the process, But
well, your legs were trying to do that to you anyway, weren't they?
Yeah, my legs were trying to do that to me anyway. Like I said before, life's trying to knock me off on a few occasions, but they were really good. They're a massive massive part of why I have the outlook on life that I do today, and why I've been able to get through the things I've got through, and also why I every day as a dad to my son Fletcher, I'm trying to show him how great stuff is, and how if you just lean into your situation, leaning into your situation, and just taking the good out of it, and taking the lessons that it throws at you.
I've got to ask, you said in there that you drive. So
I knew when you said it,
I had to ask.
You were going to say, how do you do that?
I had to ask how, and what modifications do you have, and I'm just curious. And because you obviously, you're open to conversations about it. I'm curious about how you go about doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the hand controls, I don't believe it's changed. You can only drive automatic cars.
Yeah.
So there's essentially, you've got the steering wheel, there's a handle on the right side of the steering wheel, that, for me anyway, the different setups, but it's essentially a handle that you push down to accelerate, forward to brake, and it attaches to the brake pedal and the accelerator. It's a really, really simple setup. Just a handle you push down. So I literally have my left hand on the wheel, right hand on the hand control.
Yep.
So either braking or accelerating, or I've got cruise control too, which is really, really handy on long drives and stuff. I can just sit on the highway but yeah, hand controls are an absolute game changer. It's how I learnt to drive. I've never known any different. It's funny. My dad will get in the car and, if he's gotten in the car before, when I was a bit younger, he'd get in my car and he'd use the hand controls because he likes it. He reckons it's a better way to drive. But,
Funny.
But yeah, they are great. The hand controls are really fantastic.
And like every young man goes through their car phase where they want to try and floor it around the corner, maybe drive a bit recklessly, Dion, and like, is it easier to floor it around a corner, or can you for want of a better term, like donuts, or what? With the hand control, I learned, I want to say accidentally, it wasn't an accident, that you can brake and accelerate at the same time. So you push down on the brake, push forward on the brake, and down on the accelerator at the same time. And it's good fun.
I used to do that too. It's called line locking. It used to be awesome.
But and all my cars have been like, my first car was a 1985 VK Commodore station wagon. Like, being a wheelchair user and an athlete and stuff, I've always just found station wagons were the way to go. So that's kind of what I've stuck with. But
Dion's like, talk dirty to me. Come on, keep talking.
It was a V8.
My first car, my first Commodore, was the most stock-looking thing you've ever seen in your life. Except it had a straight-through tailpipe, and it was like. Yeah, it sounded pretty awesome.
I mean, if you had the old VK Commodore with the 6-cylinder with straight pipe, they're loud. They're super loud.
Yep.
Love it.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, while we're on the subject of the Commodore, Dion, this might shock you, but my first car was actually a Commodore.
What? Have we spoken about this before?
No, we've never spoken about this before.
Well, first car to be like a Barina or something like that.
Hey, how dare you?
Something sensible. Why could you have something sensible?
No, hang on. It was a Commodore. It was an 83, 84 Commodore.
So VB or VC, something like that. Yeah.
It was a 4-cylinder.
Yeah.
Automatic.
Okay, 4-cylinder. Okay, you lost me. Shut up. Might as well have been a Barina.
4-cylinder automatic.
It was a shocker. Like I think I moved before the car moved. Yeah, it was like that. Anyway, Adam Sheppard, thank you very much. If people want to follow you and find out more about your journey and your story, where can they go? What can they do?
Absolutely. Follow me on Instagram at the real Adam Sheppard. I was trying to do like, would the real Adam Sheppard please stand up, but it was a bit too long. The real Adam Sheppard on Instagram, on Facebook, just Adam Sheppard.
Yep.
Come and say hi.
Nice one, man. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us this evening.
This is a late one for us.
Yeah.
That's been fun. I appreciate it. That's awesome.
It's too good.
The Brown Podcast.
Why are you happy?
Because I